Now, the telecommunication space has undergone considerable change in the past few years, with a shift in the importance of various services from fixed wired networks to mobile networks, among others. Joining us now for more is Adrian, SHATKU, who is the CEO of UNIFI Communications. Adrian, thanks so much for your time. I mean, there's a big craze over tech companies now in the US. I mean, every other day we're reading headlines of a new startup. It must be pretty difficult to remain relevant in this sector right now that's changing so quickly. How have you managed to do it?
Well, good to be with you, and thank you for having me on your show. You're absolutely right. I think this is the time, what I like to say, get digitized or become irrelevant. And on our end, we've adopted what I like to call a fundamental mindset shift by basically embracing these outsized forces and these demand shifts and digitization as part of basically looking forward to the future. So that's what we're doing on our end.
And you do a lot of things for many companies across quite a number of geographies. But I'm interested in your view of how African companies are embracing technology, particularly as a man sitting there from the US. I mean, how are we embracing it, and how does it compare with what you're seeing in other regions in the world?
Yeah, it's a great question. I am sitting in the U.S., but I've been canvassing Africa for the last 15 years, from east to west, from Maghreb down to all West Africa. So we've gotten to know the Africa quite well. We look at Africa as a significant opportunity. Our world is fundamentally changing, and we see Africa really growing in the following areas. I think integration, it's a must. I think consolidation, it's a must. And digitization, it's something that it's a must for the operators in Africa, as the legacy services are in decline and the new services are in the growth mode. So those are the three areas that we see a significant growth in Africa. We made an acquisition last year, which took us from Maghreb all the way down to the Central Africa, and we look at the other opportunities as well. And we are far closer to Africa than just being in New York. We have offices in Africa, so we're very close to Africa.
Sure. So as a man who has got skin in the game, I mean, what are some of these setbacks that are keeping you from having an even more presence here on the continent? Many business leaders cite infrastructure, or the lack of it, as being one. But from your point of view, what's holding you back?
Well, the infrastructure is definitely a challenge, because Africa does not have yet a Pan-African network or East connecting the West, but also it's an opportunity. And, in this time of uncertainties and lots of challenges, the opportunity belongs to the one who dares and likes to see this as an opportunity. There's certainly different segments in Africa that there is also some other challenges that perhaps keeps the investor a little bit more on the standby. But we view it as an opportunity.
For sure. And let's just wrap up with this issue of cybersecurity, also increasing in its dominance in the tech space. I mean, how do emerging markets better protect themselves from this threat?
Well, the cyber, obviously, it's a huge threat, and the operator itself has a significant stake on this. Are the guys that are delivering the services, and they obviously need to do better. And now with these new services, such as the Internet of Things, where there's devices that are easily to be compromised, we see a significant threat, and we ourselves are very committed to security as well, and looking at all kinds of areas of improving the security. But we see the biggest threat in the IoT space, where the devices are not sophisticated enough to sustain threats. And security nowadays and cyber obviously comes from all forms and all shapes. But we are investing heavily on increasing our own security, but also providing security as to our service providers to improve their own infrastructure.
Well, Adrian, thanks so much for your time. That was Adrian SHATKU, who's the CEO of UNIFI Communications.